tonight or whenever you guys get a chance to catch this broadcast, got a very interesting show. I guess we're just having a conversation amongst friends. Um, we have a couple of things we're just going to discuss. I won't even say they are guests anymore. I know Monica is part of Poetry Corner, as well as
Yes,
she is
indeed.
going to be, I guess, hopefully a regular contributor to the Let's Talk. We'll see. Going forward, it's up to her. And Carmen, we know that you have a venture coming up. You want to talk about that, Carmen?
Well, I will.
Oh, go right ahead.
I have this venture coming up, guys, because I feel like this. I feel like people need to tell a story. And sometimes when you tell your story, you are healing other people. And that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be about you telling your truth and being okay with telling your truth and understanding that when you tell your truth, it is freeing you and it is also healing others without your knowledge because that was my experience. So I just want to tell mine and I want
That's
to give
great.
others the opportunity to tell theirs.
That's great. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best. Now, let's Sister Testa Monet. We were having a conversation on the phone. This funny conversation led to us saying, let's just talk about it and put it out there for the world to hear our conversation, which is good sometimes because the conversation may not just be beneficial towards us three, but maybe it could be beneficial towards others that were not on the phone with us or not in our presence and could not hear what we were talking about. But I know you had some things you wanted to discuss, right, Miss Monica?
Yeah, just being mindful of how you engage with people. Just being mindful about timing, being mindful about being aware of your surroundings. Um, there's a lot to take into consideration when you engage with other people. When you engage with other people, your spirit is then matching meeting their spirit, and how you engage with people it has a lasting impression. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather and a little stuffy, but it has a lasting impression on people based off of your first encounter with them. So you should always be your unapologetic, authentic self. So earlier today, I was a part of a brunch, and it was about mindfulness, and there were some questions that were left on the table, and I walked away with these questions, and I'm still pondering on these questions, but I want to open the floor to you two with these questions. The first question is, um, when you meet with a person, will it matter from a year? When you meet with the person, does it matter a year later, your lasting impression on them?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question. I think that the first impression is very important. One of the things that I have learned to do, and it's always a process because we're not finished product. So even the answer that I give you now may be a different answer in 5 or 10 years from now.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that is one of the things that I do when I meet people is I try to make them feel comfortable. Number one, comfortable with what we're talking about and establishing a set of boundaries in whatever form the relationship is going, professional or personal. Um, I think those boundaries need to be established so everybody gets a clear understanding of why y'all met and what's the purpose. Because I don't think most random people, and I don't believe in accidents. I think everything has a purpose. Um, so it does matter, and having that lasting relationship and being able to, because the relationship started out with a boundary and with boundaries, a year from now, I don't think that most of the relationships that I've started since I really was more aware of establishing boundaries, I think a year goes by so fast now because the world is moving so quickly. It's like so much going on that you don't even realize. Like, oh, it's summertime again. Oh, it's cold again. And next thing you know, you'd be like, damn, I met this person 2 years ago, and we really hit it off. Whether whatever type of relationship that is. So for me, it's how you start the relationship. Is basically how it's going to, or how it's going to determine how it's going to be in a year or so.
Okay, Carmen.
I mean, I'll have to agree with that. I think it depends on the relationship because as you were talking, Q, I don't know, I was like kind of like bouncing all around the place in my mind. But when you meet, yeah, first impressions are important. But you're right. I think that we need to be on point and we need to know what the relationship is. That way you can govern yourself accordingly because things change and people change and situations change. And I think that if you are prepared for that, then it'll be less, I guess, hurt in a sense, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. Even when Monica opened up when she talked about having that spirit, one of the future shows that I intend on doing is talking about the issue of trauma bonding. And a lot of times we meet people that are either spiritually bankrupt or have that energy vampire spirit with them. Like
Oh,
you could be going through something, work, home, family, children, and they don't add to you dealing with your issues. If anything, they suck even more energy out of you.
Mm,
And it's like draining. And you know how you meet somebody or you pick up the phone and you literally be physically exhausted after you got the phone. You'd be like, yo, I got some good sleep. And now you exhausted, you feel beat up. That's because that transferable energy or spirit, as we would say, has came over to you, and you'd be like, that's not a bad person. Because I think sometimes when we say that, even if we said that amongst us, I think we're more mature to understand that it may be us, but that doesn't make us negative. I used to always say a phrase, um, it's not you, it's your behavior. And I think
mm.
that a lot of people get it confused when they be like, "Oh, you negative? You done took my whole spirit away. Like I was in a good mood. I got a promotion at my job. Got some good news. I had all these bills, and all of a sudden they were paid off. Something like that. So you could be bringing that energy to somebody, and they just zap you,
Yeah.
zap you. And it goes back to even when we pick up the phone and you be like, "Hello, how you doing?" Instead of it just being a catchphrase or something like a greeting, no, how you doing? How your mental? How you feeling? How's your day going? Everything good? We should ask that, and stop allowing this quote unquote mental health awareness that everybody's all this awareness. It's more to me from what I see as cliche. Now it's the buzzword that's going on. But the reality is we should really ask, like, how you doing? How you feeling? Everything good? Everything all right? Some people are hurting. Some people may not have food in their home, and they
yeah,
ain't gonna
Absolutely.
say nothing. So
yeah, that
I don't want to
genuine.
dog the speech or take away from you ladies tonight.
No,
No, you're right. I got in
yeah,
trouble saying how's your mental? Because I was going through
mm,
this thing where I'm texting people like, how's your mental? Some people are like, what you mean? I'm like, wait, no, I meant how's everything going? So I'm funny with that word mental now because
mm,
although how I display it to them, it's like, how in my mind, I'm like, how are you doing? Like, how's your mindset? But if I say how's your mental, I've had a couple experiences where they're like, what you
you
mean?
throwing
Like,
off.
never mind. Okay,
Yeah,
that's it.
like you throwing off. But
Yeah,
no,
but
like
I wasn't. I'm not.
I like the whole like Carmen, you and I, we've had multiple conversations, and I don't even say good morning anymore. I start with hello, or I'll start with happy Monday.
Mhm.
Um, because like you said, life and death lie in the power of the tongue. So it's like, okay, I don't want to say good morning. Hey, happy Monday. How you doing?
Yeah.
What's your plans for the day? What's the mood for the day? just to kind of get you in that mind frame. All right, now we got to make a plan, or not necessarily make a plan, but how do you want to progress through the day? Instead of waking up, girl, I'm so tired. I just, no, let's shift the energy. So, my next question is, how do you purge negative energy when someone has, called you with some negative energy, or, just like you said, Q, like just shoot you all the way down?
I've learned I used to absorb everything when people called me, how they felt. I used to be like, I would listen, but I would carry that.
So you were an
And
empath.
yes, but I've learned to listen and to know that that is what they're going through, and not to take it on.
It's
So
not
yeah,
what you're going through.
yeah, no, no, and it works better that way. It works better. It's just better, because how can I give them advice if I'm carrying what they've given me, and I've allowed that to happen? It's not them, it's me.
Mhm.
We got to be strong enough to listen and to give advice if it's met, and then let the rest.
For me, from my experience, my journey is I learned to truly learn how to cut out solitude for myself. Sometimes you could be home and it'd be a house full of people, but you know how to make out a space for yourself. I was able in my journey in life, I was in situations where I had to navigate that. Um, so as I've gotten older, I know how to literally live a very simplistic life. And what I mean is, I don't know what everybody else got going on in their personal life. I think a lot of times we tend to know even our friends and our family, our extended family, we know everything that they got going on. When we take on their issues, I don't have none of that going on. Very simplistic, very, as some people would say, and get mad nowadays when people be like, "Oh, you basic." Oh, I'm as basic as it could be. And the reason why is because this is what works for me.
Right.
And with all due respect towards anybody in my life, this is what I'm going to do. This is the selfish part of me. I'm going to be as basic as possible. Whatever you got going on, when it's time for me to deal with you, to help you, to carry you, do whatever I need to do, it's a time and a place where I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
And that's literally how I move. I have a lot of friends, a lot of people I deal with. Dealing with social media and trying to do what we're trying to do. I'm able to navigate. At one point, I wasn't always able to navigate situations. Now I'm able to navigate literally what goes on there. That has nothing to do with my personal life whatsoever. So I'm able to literally not get sucked in. Somebody call me, they got an issue going on. If I want to hear it, I'll hear it. If I don't, let me call you back, and I'll call them back, and then I'll be the vent, the person, the ear, whatever. But most of the time, it's not that serious.
So, so I have another question. So, how do you make time for the things that bring you joy now that you have, purged out that energy?
Well, the things that bring me joy, let's be honest, what brings me joy is I'm sitting right here, and I literally am surrounded by books. Um, I have a bunch of books that I read. Um, Actually, I'm reading right now Martin Luther King's book, Where Do We Go From Here, which was his last book. I'll be done with that in about 2 days. And social media, I keep my phone around me. I watch TV. I do what I need to do that makes me happy, makes me content. I mean, I'm a very content person anyway. I don't look at life as glass half empty. I look at it as half full. So with that is most people will say, "Oh, it's this." Well, it could be worse because we know of people who are doing worse than us. and we see it, and it's like the reality is that some people don't have food, clothing, shelter.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. So
Mm-hmm.
as bad as things may appear or happen, and you get a situation that arise, it's somebody that's doing worse, and then you tackle it.
Mm-hmm.
You tackle it. A bill collector call you. You know you might want to dodge them, but then 2-3 days be like, yeah, I paid it. It's on its way. Stop calling me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So at the end of the day, for me, when those problems or that negative energy do come, you take it head on, but you just don't allow it to become an issue. Because a lot of times things become an issue and they grow and they grow and they fester.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, you got a whole bunch of shit you gotta deal with. And you be like, damn, if I'd have just dealt with it, nipped it in the bud,
Mm-hmm.
you was talking about the boundaries. If I'd have
Mm-hmm.
nipped that in the bud 6 months ago, I wouldn't be going through all this.
Yeah.
You know.
What about you, Carmen? How do you make time for
Um,
the things that give you joy?
I just eliminate. I've learned to eliminate bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like I've learned to because I've always been a person where it's like everybody else is more important. It was just how I grew up. Just me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I would try to make everybody else happy, and then I just got to a place where like, you know what? I'm shutting this down. I'm shutting that down. I'm not taking on this. I'm not taking on that. And I'm going to find my happy place. My happy place is the water. My happy place is peace and quiet. My happy place is painting. My happy place is setting intentions in the morning, in the rising when we wake up, and just making sure that everything for me. I'm trying to work smarter, not harder. And I don't know. I just try to just create a peaceful atmosphere for me, and it helps.
Okay. All right. You got any questions, Carl?
So
Want
what
to
do
throw out
you do?
there?
What do you do, Monica?
What do I do?
Yes.
I do a combination of things. I like to put my Abide app on when I just feel like I'm dealing with a little too much. I like to listen to Sarah Jakes. I write. I do a lot of poetry. I do what is known as a mental dump. I put some music on. If I just want to shift everything, I put some music on. I'll start messing around with my plants. I'll either repot them, I talk to them, I prune them, I feed them, pour some water on them, or just.
I'm gonna ask you a complicated question now.
Okay.
You giving us great answers and a lot of stuff to go with. Yesterday we were creating something.
Okay.
And when you creating something and you're not physically there with the person, it's a back and forth that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you feel like, okay, I want him to change this music, but I don't want to feel unappreciative. So how can I tell him, be like, change the music because my OCD kicking in. I don't really like the music, but I don't want to be appreciative and make him feel that his help or assistance isn't good. I don't want to rock the boat. Because sometimes we may feel like, you know what, if I say something, I don't want me and him to clash.
It's all in humility and effective communication.
Yeah.
Because I know what I want, and this is a new venture for me, I have to speak up. I can't whisper up. I have to speak up. I have to say what it is that I want. I can't go through all these other channels. I'm going directly to you. So because I'm going directly to you, I have to be clear and concise in what I want and do it in a respectful manner to get my point across. And just like you gave me the feedback, it wasn't that, I came back and I was, oh, no, you're going to do it the way that I said do it. Like, that is ineffective communication. That is counterproductive. In everything, you have to know how to communicate. You have to know, a person who I used to deal with used to say, it's not in what you're saying, it's how you say it. And you have to be I'm so conscientious about that now. I'm so intentional about how I engage and how I talk to people now. Because when they return that energy, it's like, wait a minute, I ain't even mean it like that. But if you say it in such a way that, hey, can you just, if you don't mind, can you please? And it's not that I'm on my knees and I'm begging. It's just I'm coming to you in such a, like, in a humble manner. Like my grandfather used to say, humble is the way. And it works. You know, but there's times for you to be confident too.
Hey,
So,
Carmen, I know we had probably text and discussed this recently with
Mhm.
knowing somebody has your best interest at heart and they want what's good for you, and turning that power over of your, as we would say, intellectual property, is saying, okay, I'm putting my faith, my hope into this person that they got my best interest at heart.
Mhm.
I don't want to burn a bridge, but this is my stuff, so I got a certain way that I want to go about it, but I need their assistance. How to,
Absolutely.
and then, like we said, we do a lot of things online now, and a lot of stuff don't have to be physically together, and sometimes text, phone calls, sometimes things don't come out in the translations right. How is that for you? Do you feel like you're giving up a power, or discuss that?
For me, I'm working on that. Like I've gotten a lot better, but I used to be afraid to. I didn't want to just hurt anybody's feelings. I'm working on like I have my voice now, and I'm thankful for it. I'm happy about it. Um, but it is hard because it's like, someone is opening, there's a door that is open for you, and they're giving you an opportunity. Hypothetically, they're giving you an opportunity to do something, and it's not quite what you want. So it's like, dang, like, should I say something? Because I don't know. I don't like it like this, but you know what? Forget it. I'm gonna say it. And if you say it, it's freeing you because now you're not carrying that.
mhm.
You don't have to hold on to things like that. You don't have to, just be open and honest. It bothers me. Some things bother me. It's like, I think about, people want you to spare them, but they don't spare you. And it doesn't have to be in a negative way. It's like, you know, they can say this to you, and you just got to eat it and take it. No, you don't. No, you do not. And I understand what you say, Monica, is about humble. Humble is the way. It's good to be humble sometimes, but sometimes you gotta kind of wait a minute.
I
Yeah.
You
think
know,
that
It comes in
one
seasons.
of the issues is
yeah.
that we always tend to think, oh, a past situation, I've dealt with it, is behind me.
Mhm.
But sometimes our past shapes us how we deal with people in the future and the present. So
Mhm.
you may be in a situation where you got burnt so much by people that now you have a trust issue. Not saying that you ladies do or I do, but dealing with what you're dealing with, everything is social media, everything's on the move. So you're
Mhm.
dealing with a lot of different people,
Mhm.
and you literally have to give someone that you barely even know a certain amount of leeway or trust that they're gonna, and then you might got to slow them down, because we've had this discussion, us three. You got to slow them down when they move it too fast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They might be
So,
moving too fast. You be like, hold up, like, I wasn't expecting this, or I wasn't expecting, but it could be coming from a good place. But it's just sometimes, like I said, and Monica, me and Carmen discussed this. Sometimes some people could see things in you that you might not be able to see. So you could see it. So you need to explain, like, yo, you could really do this. I think you got potential. Instead of
Mhm.
explaining that, sometimes we'll be like, I ain't gotta explain it. I'll just help her. I'll just do it, or help
Mhm.
him. And then it'd be like blurred lines everywhere. You'd be like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
and-
But
right.
that's where effective communication comes into play, because you, number one, you got to know who you're talking to. That's, the Bible says, know them that labor among you. But if we're all new to this, then that's when you really got to rely on, God and self, and be like, let me feel this person out. Let me see what this person is really about. So the first time that, I actually performed a piece on here, and, we got backstage, you were so genuine, and it moved me. You were like, and I really felt like my big brother was telling me, like, little sis, it's your time. Don't say that
Mhm.
this is what's going on. Like, don't diminish yourself. Like, I still remember what you said to me from day one. Don't diminish yourself. Don't say that this is something that you're doing on the side. Like, fuel that. You've been doing it. I could tell you've been doing this for a long time. You're not a novice at this. Like, you're
Yeah.
past novice. Like, you've been doing this for some time. So go out there, promote yourself, do it, in a safe manner where you're not being taken advantage of, but promote yourself, do what you need to do. And I promise you, within like 2 weeks, I had a whole new IG. I was, promoting like crazy. And then, with me being a church girl, church baby or whatever, I reached out to my aunts, I reached out to my uncles, I reached out to, my friends, and it just started to flourish real quick. I don't even remember when I think I did my first performance. I want to say it was maybe early November. And it was just all in how you
one of the books that,
engage
He's
me.
special. He is special.
one of
Okay,
the
I just want to go out here and say he's
one of
special.
the books that I recommend is this book here, Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Mm.
Okay.
Chop Wood, Carry Water is a book that's basically from Joshua Medcalf, and he speaks about the process, and it goes into a story about the process of a young man trying to learn martial arts. And we remember the story in the Karate Kid where he
Hmm.
was washing the cars
Wax on,
and
wax
waxing
off.
the cars, and he didn't even realize that he was learning defense techniques by doing that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
A lot of times, what we do is we rush the process to get to the goal.
Hmm.
And the process, or what we would say the journey to get to the process, is how and what you appreciate the most. You appreciate the little things, and then you just got to just take that jump and just go for it.
Right.
So, one of
Gotta
the
keep.
things that I tried to do when we did have that conversation, Monica, was be intentional. If you want to do something, don't say you're doing it on the side. This is what you do. This is part of who you are. If somebody asks you who you are, you should be able to say a list of things. You should be able to,
It's
one
true.
we tend to, well, what you do? Oh, this is what I do. This is what I work at. What do
Hmm.
you do? Who are you?
Who
Hmm.
are you?
You know what I mean? Who are you? Who are
Hmm.
you? A person of substance? Or are you just a shell?
Right.
And I
Right.
think that a lot of us, when we do meet and have those type of engagements with people, a person should be blown away after you walk away from them.
Hmm.
Like, damn, that was a very interesting person.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
I just
That's
I
great.
just I just from my experience is we don't have to always make the mistake to learn. We got to learn from others' mistakes. So I'm a reader. I'm somebody who tries to take, like I said, look at things as the glass half full, and then just go for it after that. But this show
Hmm.
ain't about me, guys. We having a conversation, and we just kicking it. Carmen
Well,
want to be quiet. So Carmen, tell us.
I know. Listen, I'm just waiting my turn. Why do y'all say that? Why do y'all say that? I'm just
I
waiting
was
my
about
turn.
to say, like, share, and subscribe. Listen, I'm trying to learn it. I'm trying
Yeah,
to learn it.
yeah. We want people to like the page, share, and subscribe to the
Yeah.
page, and definitely hit the like button when you watch it. And the reason why the like button is very important, because on social media, the like button is what triggers the algorithm. Triggers the
Hmm.
algorithm. This is how YouTube and Facebook sends it out, so people will see it on their timeline and may catch, or it may interest them to watching the show or watching the channel. So we always try to tell people, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up is
Hmm.
very, very important. It would be defeats the purpose for a person to view the show and not hit the like button. So we appreciate everybody to hit the like button. So Carmen,
Yes, sir.
I know during the intro you explained what you plan to do. What are going to be some of the topics that you're going to try to address during your show?
Wow. Okay, so I don't have they're not going to be in order. There is just going to be random things like I feel like it's important. Okay, one of them is going to be um after losing a child, how you coped with that. How you coped with losing a loved one. It doesn't have to necessarily be a child, or how you coped with domestic violence, or how you got over a relationship. I think it's important to tell your story because in that, like I said before, it is healing. It is healing. And a lot of times it doesn't even have to be, all right, so say something happened, right? Say you were in a situation and another person was in a situation. Everyone heard that person's side and you just didn't have a chance to tell your truth.
Mhm.
And it's not to kick the other person's back in, it is to tell your truth. It's to free yourself. Freeing
Definitely.
yourself is important. A lot of times we live our lives, I feel I have been afraid to speak my truth because of what somebody else might have thought of me, or what they're not going to like me. I'm no. Tell your truth, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to it's going to be all good. So I don't know, it's going to be a plethora of things, and I'm excited about it. I just want to talk. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to eat all of that.
Mhm.
And Monica, like outside of your individual poetry that you've been putting up, as
Mhm.
well as being part of Poetry Corner, what else are you doing? Like, what else are you? I know social media is like not new for you, but explaining and getting people to see how talented you are is something new to a newer audience. What's your plans? Or you want to keep it close to the vest?
No, I mean, if I speak it, then I manifest it. So I want to do my book. Um, I have a title of my book. I have a preface to my book. Um, I just, at this point, I just have to section off my poetry in the book. Outside of the book, I am a photographer. Um, I've been a photographer pretty much for as long as I've been a writer. Um, Let me see what else. What else? What else? I dabble in advertisement. Um, I mean, Canva makes you feel like you're a beast, but
And you are.
well, thank you. I have been
You're welcome.
doing advertisements since I was a teenager at church. So if there was like a fried chicken dinner sale or fried fish sale or any type of little event or anything that was going on in a service, like I would help my uncle with doing the flyers. So I've been doing that for some time. So maybe I'll say maybe about 5 years from now, maybe I will get into that promotional stuff. Another thing is I really wanted to, like, I have a strong desire to become a life coach. I've bypassed the therapy stuff. The life coach thing for me, just sitting down and getting raw and rugged and just encouraging people. With a lot of work that I do, I've seen a lot of broken women, a lot of broken men. And it's that one to one that I have with them that really, when it's time for me to close my cases out, they're like, "Oh my God, yo, you're like by far the best caseworker I ever had. Like you really know how to get to the to nooks and crannies of what I was really trying to hide. Like you pulled that thing out." So that's something that I would like to do also in the future. Um, there's so many different things. Like you asked, who am I? And the list goes on and on and on and on and on. It's things that I didn't even consider who I am outside of being a daughter, a sister, a friend, a mother, an employee, a driver. Another thing that I happen to look over in my list is that I'm a percussionist. I play the drums. And I got that honest. My grandfather used to construct drums, hand drums, speaking drums, djembes, um, congas, bongos. I don't know if he ever did a Cajun.
So
Cajun
you know how
is
to
a
read music?
baton. Actually, yes. My aunt taught me how to read music about 10 years ago, so I'm a little rough. But I do know how to read music. There's a lot that I learned growing up in the church, being around my aunts and my uncles. I'm not going to say I know how to hold the tune. I mean, I'm the filling. I'm not the top of the crust. I'm not the bottom of the crust. I'm just blend me up in there, and then I'll be with everybody else.
You know,
But
the church at that time, because I know you told me you grew up in a family church.
mhm,
It was like the second home. It was the linchpin of the culture.
mhm,
I'm not saying that churches have gotten away from it. I don't know. I know that my family's church, that's all they know. Um,
mhm,
so you get, this is where you learn the culture. This is where you learn everything came out of the house of worship, and it's
mhm,
interesting that as we grow as a society, even with our experiences, that may be be needed to bring a whole bunch of people back to having some type of moral compass.
mhm.
Because now it's like a big old free fall out here where everybody just do what they want,
Don't do
no
what.
checks and balances, no nothing, and it's okay. And I know me and Carmen had discussed it, and she was like, you know, I need to dive into this and be able to discuss it. I have a friend, she does very good work in podcasting. She speaks on being married to the church. She was the first lady. Um,
Mm,
so she speaks on it quite frequently. We're calling a lot of the people out, and it's very interesting. And I wish her nothing but the best with everything she's trying to do with it. So that's really interesting. You know, 2023. I know Carmen has said before that this is, you know, this had to happen. This wasn't an accident. This was
It's
intent.
not, none of this is by accident, Q. None of it is. And going back to like when I was in the church, and I'm not gonna harp on that, because I appreciate everything, but I think that one of something that I would like to discuss is once you're, from being in the inside and then from the outside looking in, because it's a big difference.
mhm,
It's not to cast judgment, it is just to tell my own story.
mhm,
Um, and I have a different perspective. I have a different perspective now on um, religion and church, but I don't want to be, I just have to be free to speak my mind. So that's going to be
You know,
one of the,
one of the things, right? And I told you guys before that I never really speak
I
about
know,
religion on the platform.
I know.
But I've had a show before, and one of the things that I do notice about people that come from very very strong religious backgrounds, as far as growing up,
Mhm.
is a lot of, definitely for the Black Americans, the issue that we're having and the internal thing that we're having with organized religion now is probably because a lot of the leadership haven't been able to explain how the text and the secular education and societal education and the societal norms are not able to mesh it all together. And it's just
mhm,
rigid, straight down the bottom. It's either more do's or don'ts. I don't want to get into it. I know nobody that watches in the chat. I hope they don't ask the questions because I'm not going to really answer those type of questions. But I could see where a lot of people just aren't able to take the practical from the text and take the practical application applied to their life every day.
Mm,
And as we would say, I know you guys say it in church, live the word, so to say.
mm,
So that a lot of people aren't able to do that nowadays. And let's face it, faith is kind of low. Faith
yeah.
is low. So
Well, I
I won't
know.
get to that. That's y'all thing. So
No, I
That's
got
all.
you. But the church that I'm attending now, there is definitely a shift. There's a shift from, I'll say it like this, the old heads to my generation. There's definitely a shift. Um, our generation is a generation of questions,
That's
and
good.
the generation before us was pretty much instilled, you guys be an organization. But now our generation is like, we understand what organization is, but we have more questions. We're digging now more to seek more answers. And the fact that we're asking more questions is making them think more
Mm.
outside the box. So the more that we, probe them, not only are they relying back, well, seek God, fast, pray. But when we're looking for those answers, there's something that's within them that they're like, oh my God, okay. So this was not what the Bible says. This was my perspective. So now a lot of the old heads, I see a shift in that. And because life has been a little bit more different for them, because they're older, they're entering quote unquote the evil days, which is just them getting older.
Mhm.
There's a shift, and there's more relatability that is going
I'm
on.
gonna, I'm gonna ask you guys a question because I know you guys grew up in that type of environment. We grew up on the heels of the end of the civil rights movement.
Mhm.
So
Carmen, it sounds like what I talked about earlier with
civil
my
the
auntie.
civil rights
Exactly.
movement had, in our opinion, even when you look back at it in history, would be men. Those were men where they had testicular fortitude and they stood on principle. And then it was like a gap from like the end of the civil rights era, let's say the 70s, and then in the 70s when those drugs came and basically destroyed a whole generation,
Mhm.
Mm.
people got soft. And then like we see it now. So you see like those elders, like those older people that was in churches in their 80s, like they were real strong with principle, principle morals. Even if you didn't like what they were saying, they stood on it. So
They stood on it. That's true. That is
Yeah.
true.
I don't want our show to get into that because
Yeah.
But Monica, did you have any more questions?
Um, the only question I had, I really didn't know how to formulate it, so I'm just gonna ask it this way. Break down the difference between selfish and being selfless.
Well, I can't I don't mess with Webster's dictionary. Um, I think that I don't I want to throw another word in there.
Okay.
For me is to be not so self-absorbed.
Okay.
Me and Carmen speak about this a lot, and
Mhm.
you sometimes we're so caught up with what we're doing that we don't know. We think we need our flowers now, or we don't understand the paying it forward. So for me, I never been the type of person that needed the spotlight. So it's very easy for me. I mean, some people need the attaboys and the pat on the back, and I'm putting my work in, so I'm doing this. I'm just not that type. I'm good. I'm content, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier in the show with living a very simple, content life. I got my own lane. I'm good. I don't need to get in your lane. Your lane is good for you. You could drive your car in your lane to however fast you want. I'm good. I might choose to wear my seatbelt. I might choose to not and drive 1,000 miles per hour, but it's my lane.
Mm.
It's my beat. I'm gonna dance to my own beat, and I think that having that objectivity in my views first, I'm able to. I'm good. I mean, I know some people think like they want wants is different than I'm content. I'm a very content person with stuff. So it's very easy for me to not be selfish. I mean, feeding you is not taking away from me.
Mm.
It doesn't do anything to me, feeding you. But helping me realizing it's easy to feed you. It's not taking away from my plate.
What do you think, Carmen? What's
Re-
your difference? You want me to ask it again?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's the difference, or explain the difference between selfish and being selfless?
I think it is selfish to, I'm just going to use an example. Like, I think it's selfish to just want things your way. I think it is selfless to learn to listen. You know what I'm saying? Because you can get more, you could, how do they say it? You can draw more
You could get
bees
more
with
bees with
honey,
honey, hmm, than with
you know.
nectar. Hmm.
So I feel like as long as, learning to listen and learning to listen for me and not thinking you know it all, you know, and it's okay to be wrong. I think constructive criticism, to be able to take that, is a good thing. um I'm probably not answering your question, but I don't know, I just feel like I used to be so selfless. Like, it's important to be selfish for yourself, and I thought being selfish was selfish. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, I thought being selfish was wrong, but it's not, because you have to take care of yourself first before you can help somebody else.
Hmm.
And until you see that, you're gonna stay stuck. You're gonna stay
Hmm.
stagnant. You're gonna be in the same spot. So that's my answer for that.
No, that was it. You answered it. Because that's what I was thinking in regards to being selfish. It's called self care for a reason. So you have to put your phone on do not disturb. You have to take time to focus on yourself, to step back, because if you give too much of yourself being selfless, then who's going to be selfish when it comes to your physical health, your mental health, your behavioral health, your overall, um so yeah, when it comes to being selfish, you got to understand there's going to be times that you have to put yourself first. And there's a lot, looking at my aunts, my uncles, my mother, um, they're very selfless. They give so much of their time, they give so much of their mental, they give so much of their physical to a major default when they have all these ailments. And it's like, now they're to the point where they're like, okay, I think I need to be selfish. I need to take some time for myself. Yeah, it's about damn time. You're almost 80, 90 years old. Like, you should have been, giving yourselves, like, we have these little retreats or whatever. Like, that's important. My pastor and his wife, first lady, they take they take time out. They have to be selfless. I'm sorry, selfish, and take time. They're still married. They still have to focus on their marriage. They still are parents. They have to take time and pouring into their children. I've seen it before where people have given so much of themselves, before you know it, their children are in their 30s and 40s, and they, oh crap, I lost all that time. Like, you have to ultimately find the balance. And to find the balance is kind of hard, but if you put your energy into it and become selfish and really, like, you got to be mindful of it. Take that opportunity, take that time. And I'm more aware of that now with, Like my mom, she has given all of her time and energy, but in the same capacity, my brother and myself have, for lack of better words, kind of dug in her ass. Hey, mom, you know what? Let's just take one weekend. Let's go do this. Let's just go away. And she's just content sitting in front of her RV, watching the cars go by, or taking it to the bay and just watching the seagulls. Okay, fine. Are you done? No, you still want to say, okay, cool, have at it, enjoy it. And while you're over there, I'm going to be over here taking my pictures. Or if we see the storm coming in and she wants to, because she loves the Weather Channel, she sees the storm coming in. Okay, Monica, okay, the wind is picking up. It's time to go. All right, let's go. But it's you got to find a balance in it. But sometimes, after you reach a certain age, you get stuck in your ways and you just like, all right, that's what you want to do. I'm not going to get upset. I'm now going to be selfish and I'm going to walk away. You do you. And like Q was saying, stay in your lane, because you got to know who's within your family and all the above. But you were about to say something, Carm?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not an easy transition. You know what I'm saying? Like if all you know is being selfless, sometimes for me personally, it took my back being against the wall and somebody coming up and punch me, not physically, but you know what I'm saying? Like literally, but like it took a lot of different things for me back to back to back to back for me to realize like, oh, wait a minute. I'm doing something wrong. Because you can present yourself in a way and because that's who you are. And then you get mad because people, they talk to you in a certain way or they treat you in a certain way. Like this was my transition. I'm selfless. I'm and then when I start to realize like, I'm not appreciated or I feel like I'm wasted. Like what was the point of that? It took, that's what it took for me to just kind of like, all right, Carm, enough is enough here. But then I had to go through that stage where I'm like, I was too harsh. And I'm like, hold up. But then I'm like, all right, there has to be a balance here.
Yep.
So that's where I'm at now. I'm at that little balance sometimes.
Yeah. And it definitely, it all culminates together. Effective communication, balance, being mindful, like all of that stuff comes in together. And like you said, I had my waves too, Carmen. It was peaks and valleys. 1 minute I'm rowdy. Now you tripping. Then the next minute it's like, no, but you should have handled that a little bit more gently. Okay. Yes. All right. So what are we going to do now? Because you're going a little too far. But then, there's a time and season for everything. Sometimes you got to get rowdy with people because they try to take advantage of you. Or, you know what? I said it this way. I said it nice and calm and collected. And now you want me to snap out. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, and if you feel like that is going to interrupt your peace, then, just throw your hands up and walk away and be like, you know what? Lesson learned. This is a teachable moment. I should have been quiet. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to engage with you anymore. Maybe you need to go talk to somebody else. And I had to learn this even with work. When I get them rowdy parents that, oh, you think you this and you think you that, you know what? I know what I think I need to do. Let me transfer you and keep it pushing because you asking me to do a little too much right now and you're not going to penetrate my peace. So I'm very cognizant of that now. I'm very intentional about it now. Even with my little one, she tends to disrupt me sometimes and I have to bring it all the way back down. All right, Monica. Remember, she's a kid. Remember that you're the adult. Remember that you have control. This is your home. You have power over this. There's things, yes, that are not within my control, but the things that I have control over, I will not allow that to penetrate my peace. Therefore, this is what I'm going to do. And if I have misspoken, if I have, acted out of character, like you said, there's nothing wrong with apologizing. But trust and believe, I'm going to have my guard up. And we'll make sure you do not penetrate my peace anymore. I'm not giving you that power.
I agree. So, once my sides started to hurt, like I started to notice, like, when I got upset, my body started to hurt. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, no. All right. So I have learned to just say what I have to say. There's
Mhm.
no need to yell. There's no need to yell or get upset or anything, because a lot of times people bring this energy to you, and if you grab hold to it, that's exactly what they wanted.
Mhm.
So I'm learning to remain calm and say what I have to say, and that's it. We can talk, or you can leave, or I can
Mhm.
leave. That's it. That's all.
Mhm.
Well, ladies, it's been a great night, a great conversation.
Indeed.
And we look forward to having more conversations like this. Any final words?
Like, subscribe, and share. And you can follow me on Instagram at Sista Testa Monet. You can follow my photography on Instagram as well, and that's Books Photographies. Books Photo, I'm sorry. And Lord's willing, that book will be out soon.
Carmen?
My last words for tonight would be to remain true to yourself. Um, Reach for your goals. Trust the process, and find that thing, because we all have that thing. I always say it. We all are a puzzle piece to this massive puzzle. And once we find our thing, the sky's the limit. Beyond the sky's the limit. So I'm working on that with myself.
I got one more hashtag. That's my hashtag. Work your faith, not your frustration.
With that, thank you guys for joining us. And as Monica say, like, share, subscribe. See you guys soon.